I quit using social media for 40 days. No binge watching, no doom scrolling, and no podcasts. Here's how quitting this habit improved my life. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Always Active podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and in this episode, I'll be sharing my experience completing a 40-day social media detox, including why I did it, some of the challenges I faced, what I learned along the way, and how my relationship with social media is going to be different moving forward. So without further ado, let's get psyched to move. I decided to take on this challenge because although I have worked on improving my relationship with social media a lot over the years, and I do feel like it's in a pretty good place, recently I feel like I have been over consuming content. I was listening to podcasts all the time, whether I was cooking in the kitchen, cleaning, driving, getting ready. Podcasts were always playing whenever I wasn't working. And I don't think there's anything wrong with podcasts. I think there is a lot of value to listening to them and learning from others. But I do think there is such a thing as listening in excess and over consuming content. Also watching lots of YouTube videos, lots of vlogs. Another thing I was doing was watching YouTube shorts. I did have a pretty good habit in place where I only spent 10 minutes a day in my night routine scrolling on YouTube shorts, and I would limit it to the accounts that I was subscribed to, so I wasn't scrolling on accounts that I'm not following. But I do still feel like there was quite a bit of social media use there. And really, when it came down to it, it was all the time that I was spending on social media that I could be dedicating to something else, or that I could be freeing up my brain power to focus on other things. Personally, I feel like I've spent a lot of time curating a really inspiring and uplifting and positive social media feed. So I don't find that the comparison and negative content is something that I really deal with. And this is something that I've spent years developing. So while many people may want to quit social media for that reason and many of the other negative impacts that it has, that wasn't the case for me. It was really just about freeing up time, energy, and mental capacity to focus on things other than social media. The platforms that I decided to stop using were YouTube, podcasts, and TikTok. I did decide to continue using Instagram for the reason being that I don't find myself scrolling endlessly on Instagram. I don't scroll on the Reels tab. I've made my feed pretty boring where I don't scroll too far deep into the feed. And really all I do on Instagram is post myself, and then I'll also look at my friends' stories, but I have most people muted on stories so that I'm only seeing the stories of people that are closest to me in my life. And I already have the habit of deleting Instagram off of my phone every single night. That's something that I've built a couple years ago and I've continued to maintain. So for that reason, I feel there's lots of benefits to Instagram. I like seeing what my friends are up to. I like sharing what I'm up to. And so I didn't really feel a need to cut that one out because I feel there's lots of benefits to using Instagram for me personally. I have a good relationship with it. In terms of the rules that I set for myself, TikTok, I just deleted completely off of all of my devices. I said that the only time I could use TikTok is if I was planning to post a TikTok, although I don't even think I posted a TikTok over the 40 days. YouTube, the rule was no watching YouTube videos or YouTube shorts. There were a couple exceptions to this because I do use YouTube to listen to lo-fi music while I work. That was fine. I use YouTube to follow along to home workouts in mobility and yoga sessions, so that was allowed. I also allowed myself to use YouTube if I had posted a new podcast episode and I wanted to listen to my own episode. That was fine. I like testing them out and making sure I didn't mess up on the editing. And then for podcasts, I listen to my podcasts on Spotify. So same thing. I could listen to my own podcast episodes, but any other episodes were off limits, with the one exception being that I could listen to sleep meditations. That was fine. That was allowed within the scope of the challenge. And then to prevent myself from using any of these social media apps, I simply deleted them off of my phone and my iPad, and that was enough friction to prevent me from going on and using them. Going into the challenge, I expected it to be difficult because I use so much social media. And so I thought I was going to have a really tough time getting through my day-to-day tasks like cooking and cleaning, or even just getting out of bed in the morning. I find that listening to a podcast is really what motivates me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But any of those mundane tasks that I tend to procrastinate or dread doing, having that podcast with me just makes it more enjoyable. And so I expected it to be very difficult to do these day-to-day tasks without having a podcast or YouTube video to watch. The first couple days of the challenge were the toughest for sure. I found it very difficult to do those day-to-day tasks without having that podcast podcast to listen to. But really, it was just those first couple days that were the most challenging. And then after that, I kind of felt free from social media. I felt this sense of clarity that I haven't experienced in a long time. And I think the benefits that I was experiencing were significantly outweighing the challenges. And so that's what made it easy for me to continue to stick with it. I also think something that helped me to stick with it was having an end date. There was a clear end in mind. It wasn't like a habit that you just say you're going to stick to, but then it's supposed to last forever. No, I knew that this was something that was short term. And so I think that having that as a motivator really helped me to stick to this challenge long term. And I did stick with it for 40 days. I did not use TikTok once. I did not listen to a single podcast or watch a single YouTube video with the exceptions that I mentioned before, but I stuck with it for 40 days and it felt great to be able to actually follow through with this challenge that I had set for myself. What I missed the most during the challenge would have just been having that daily entertainment and motivation. The podcasts that I listen to are pretty inspirational. Most of them are focused on health and wellness and self-improvement. So I did miss learning new things and having other people's opinions and ideas to inspire me. But with this lack of opinions and ideas from other people that I would normally be consuming through podcasts, it opened up a lot of space for me to have my own thoughts and ideas. And instead of listening to podcasts on a walk or on a drive, I would listen to music. And it also opened me up to new songs that I had added to my library but hadn't yet listened to. So that was another benefit. Something else was that it freed up lots of time. Normally, I would watch a YouTube video while walking on the treadmill because it's a task that I know is good for me. I enjoy my treadmill walks, but I realized that probably the main reason I enjoy my treadmill walks is because I habit stack that with watching a YouTube video to make it more enjoyable. And so during that time, instead of watching a YouTube video, I was responding to the messages on my phone that were outstanding. That was one example of where I would normally be consuming content. I was instead tackling a task that I know is important to complete. Something else that was beneficial was that I was creating rather than consuming content. You may have heard this concept of creating more than you consume, and that has always resonated with me, but I don't think I've ever actually practiced that. I tend to consume more content that I create, but during this 40-day period of time, I did not consume any content and I only created. And so that was really impactful and it helped me to be more creative. I also had more ideas flowing that I normally wouldn't have. It is nice to have podcasts and YouTube videos as thought starters that will then allow me to think of other things. But in this case, it was just me and my thoughts. And whatever thoughts came to mind were truly unique and original. I know we say that we can't have original thoughts anymore, but I do feel like I was having original thoughts that I otherwise wouldn't have if I was listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos. Interestingly, the week that I stopped using social media was the week that my YouTube channel started to take off. I'm not saying that I have 1 million subscribers now, but my channel saw exponential growth during the first week and for the remaining 40 days, and it's continuing to see growth that I had never seen before. I essentially doubled my subscriber count in a very short period of time. 2 of my videos have taken off with my ladder app review and my High Rocks training for beginners. And it was just kind of funny that, okay, I stopped consuming content, and it just so happens that as soon as I stopped using YouTube, that's when the YouTube algorithm has now started working in my favor and pushing out a lot of these videos. I've seen way more watch time, way more likes and views and comments, and it's been really exciting to see that the content that I'm creating is reaching the right audience now. So if you're watching this, you are very much included in that. So thank you for being part of this community and spending your time listening to my podcast episode. And it was funny, I watched this YouTube video from Matt Diavella years ago, and when he did his social media detox where he stopped looking at his YouTube analytics, that's also when his channel took off. So I don't know, there might be something to this for creators that when you create more than you consume, it really can pay off. If you're enjoying this episode, I would really appreciate if you could please follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Now that my 40-day detox has been over for about a month, I have a very different relationship with social media going forward. I was trying to figure out what my new rules would be for consuming content going forward. And they have evolved a little bit over the past month, but where I've kind of landed is that I have no desire to use TikTok. I still haven't reinstalled the app on my phone. So that habit is gone. Not that I was ever doom scrolling on TikTok. I did already have in place that I would never go on the For You page. I would only go through the following tab, but yeah, I don't miss it at all. I have no desire to go back on TikTok, and so I will probably not be doing that. Same with YouTube Shorts. As much as I really enjoyed the YouTube Shorts that I was watching, I will not be watching YouTube Shorts going forward. For me, the short form content, as much as there's so much value to it, I find it's very easy to get stuck in a rabbit hole and just scroll endlessly, and I will only be listening to long form content going forward. Something else that I don't really plan to consume anymore is vlog content. I watched a few vlogs on my return to social media, and for me, it just felt weird to be watching someone else's life. It's no judgment to you if you enjoy watching vlogs. I loved watching vlogs for the longest time, but now I'm kind of realizing that it's just not something that is really aligned with who I want to be. I want to be focused on my own life and creating an ideal life for myself. And those people can be very inspirational. I think there is value to it, but I will be watching those creators' long form content that is educational rather than watching vlog content. That's just not something that's resonating with me right now in this season of life. Another thing with YouTube was that I would always go through my subscription box and add pretty much every single video to my watch later playlist. And my watch later playlist included hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've compiled over the years, to the point where it just felt so overwhelming. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to watch all of these videos. I don't even know what video I want to watch when I open the app. So now what I'm doing instead is I won't be using the watch later feature. Just whenever I open the app, I'll do a little bit of scrolling, and YouTube tends to know what I want to watch at this point. And so I'm just going to rely on the algorithm to feed me the content that it knows I want to watch anyways. Another rule that I'm putting in place is that I will not be using my over-ear headphones in my house anymore, unless I'm doing a workout. But while I'm cooking or cleaning, I'm not going to be distant from the other people who I live with by having these headphones on, inaccessible, because I'm listening to someone else's podcast. That is something that I was doing for the longest time, and I will not be doing that anymore. If I want to listen to a podcast, it'll be either in my room, maybe while I'm getting ready, I can watch a YouTube video, or if I'm in one of the shared spaces, the podcast will be on the TV, because that way, if someone walks in, I can pause it, I can have a conversation with them. I will not be using the over-the-ear headphones to consume content anymore. And I can also listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos while I'm walking on the treadmill, walking outside, or while I'm driving. But those are kind of the main times when I plan to consume this kind of content. It won't just sort of be random and all of the time. I'm going to be more selective and intentional about the time that I'm consuming this content. Another rule I'm putting in place is that if I start a podcast episode, I'm going to listen to it until the end. If you looked at my Spotify in progress episodes, I would have had like 20 plus episodes going that I had partially listened to, anywhere from 10 minutes in to an hour in, and I was never finishing any of them. I would start an episode and not finish them, and I think that also speaks to this issue of losing our attention spans through consuming social media content. So now if I start an episode, if I finish getting to where I need to be, if I'm on a drive, let's say, then I'll pick up that episode the next time I go for a drive and listen to it until the end rather than starting a new episode, because I think that will help me greatly to limit the excess, and again, limit that endless list of episodes that are currently in progress. I'll only have one, maybe two episodes in progress at a time. So I think those are the main ways that I'm going to change my social media use going forward. This might be super niche. I don't know if this is relatable to many other people, but I think the point really is that it's just important to take these detoxes from social media. We know there are so many negative effects that come with using social media, and so taking a step back, reducing the amount of content you consume can be extremely beneficial. And for you, this might look completely different. Maybe you are the type of person who enjoys scrolling on TikTok, and maybe it's going cold turkey just on TikTok, but you continue to listen to podcasts. Really just figure out the way that works best for you, and you're going to learn your own unique lessons along the way. Will I do this again? I think so. I really enjoyed and benefited from it. So maybe I'll make this an annual thing that I do a 40-day social media detox. It's also motivated me to want to do other other similar challenges, whether it's a detox from an unhealthy habit that I want to quit, or maybe it's a short-term challenge like 75 Soft, which I'm currently doing, like the 30-day 10,000 steps a day challenge that I did last year. I think I've just learned that I enjoy doing these types of challenges, and I learned so much from doing them. So definitely want to be doing more challenges. So comment below what challenge you want to see me do next. I would absolutely recommend that you take on this challenge for yourself. Maybe it's detoxing from social media for 40 days like I did. Maybe it's 100 days, or maybe it's just a week. But I think taking a step back from the social media platforms that you're using most often can be extremely beneficial, and you're going to experience so much clarity, so much peace of mind, so much less clutter in your life through all of the endless content, because there is a never-ending stream of content that you could potentially consume. And it's pretty overwhelming, and it's pretty concerning how short our attention spans are becoming. So I strongly encourage you to try this for yourself. If you clicked on this video, clearly you have an interest in taking on this kind of challenge. And I think you should absolutely try it for yourself, because you're going to experience so many benefits from doing so. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It was a little bit different from what I normally do. Usually I'm focused on health and fitness, but today was more so focused on breaking what I think is an unhealthy habit, which does impact my mental wellness. So it is related, but a little bit different from usual. Hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to leave a thumbs up or a rating and review wherever you're listening. And let me know in the comments any tips you have for breaking unhealthy habits and replacing them with new healthy habits. And with that, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.